posting was as Assistant Superintendent of Police in Udupi district. Well, IPS officers, when they come to the field, they are first for 1.5 years posted as ASP, Assistant Superintendent of Police, and then for the next 13 years they remain SPs, the Superintendent of Police, which is the district head of the whole district police. Many a time, yes, I used to feel that in there is some difference between what they taught in academy and what is there in the field. For example, one thing, a glaring difference is in NPA. Of course, it's a now police academy. In police, there are many men, so naturally, the male probationers outnumbered the female probationers. We were not even 1/4 of them. Well, in the academy, they would tell us, well, you are all not women. Don't think you are women. You are officers first, and then women. So your gender comes next to being officers. So we were motivated this way, and we were told to do everything which the male counterparts did, which we did. If they ran for 13 kilometers cross country, we also would run the same distance. If there was a route march with a rifle for 25 kilometers, we both the genders did equally well. And in no activity there was any kind of concession just because we were women. But when you come to the field, it's not the same, because many a time, even if you don't want to, you will be reminded of your gender. You're often being told, conveyed by various means that you are a woman. The first thing is when it comes to posting. Of course, now that there are many women coming into IPS, and since they have to give all of us postings, and when they are given postings, they do well. So now the perception is changing that women can also handle difficult ones. But back those days, 18 to 20 years ago, my first posting was in 2002 as ASP, and my first district was in 2004. So back then, while giving any district, the people who would post you, be it the political executive or even your own bosses, would think twice, thrice, multiple times, and have doubts whether this woman can handle it. So this is one drawback, which is fortunately changing, but it hasn't changed to the extent it should. And then when you are occupying a position, I have felt this, if something goes wrong, and if there was a male officer there, well, they would say, look, the circumstances didn't work out for him, bechara, the circumstances didn't work out for him. But when they look at us, if there is a woman and if the situation fails, then they will not attribute it to circumstances. They will say, look, that woman couldn't handle. So it immediately, the focus is on the gender. So then this thing gets generalized. Look, women can't handle this. And then it goes against us. So this is one big stereotype which we are have been struggling, all the women officers. And then when they say, well, women can't handle this, it will go down for years together to overcome this kind of a mindset, and it affects all of us. And that is probably why women officers do certain things which men don't do. For example, one good thing is they have to work harder. They work harder, twice harder, thrice harder, just to prove, not to be, as I said, not to be seen as a weak woman, delicate woman who can't handle this and so on. So they work hard, very hard. And second thing, sometimes they also try to adopt ways and mannerisms of male officers, which I feel is not required. Nowadays, we have all accepted that we have gender differences. We women bring different things to table. we can handle victim very empathetically, sympathetically, and in a way different from what the male counterparts handle. So, uh, uh, but however, those days, few years ago, women used to feel, well, we should be very strict, never smile, never be lenient, else we will be taken for granted. Even I've gone through these processes. I also would never smile much in my career initially. It's only later that my thought process changed, and I thought, well, it's how we deal with the situation and not per se the smile or any this or that gesture. But these things do happen. And then, as I said, I never even mentioned about that Miss Davangere competition, or I even sing, but I never mentioned about singing and such things, because as it is, women are considered to be, not having much experience. They feel that women, fine, they may have passed this exam, but they have studied fine and passed this exam, but they would not have seen the world. They would have sat in the four corners of the house in a room and written this exam, studied well for it and written, but they will not have outwardly knowledge, worldly knowledge. That is what men think, and that too for these things as crime and so on. They really think that women would not have really much idea as to how to handle these things. So this goes against, and we adopt certain kind of behaviors. Yes, nowadays women in this service are very proud, and some have attained distinguished positions. They've got awards, medals, and done equally well, and in fact sometimes done as more proud than men officers. One of the stereotypes, if I remember, is I remember a few examples. For example, when we were in Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy foundation course, one of my batchmates who had also selected IPS, who was in IPS, he said, well, why you women have taken IPS? What do you think you will do? This came as a big shock to me, because a person who has passed this kind of an exam, which is a highly difficult one, has studied so much, even he could have this kind of mindset. Okay, why women have chosen IPS? I was shocked. So I said, what have you male officers done all these years? And then he became silent. But these are the things which we keep encountering. Even now it is there. It's not that it's all hunky-dory. This is what women have to struggle out more, and it is there. But I must say that there are many states where to the police department, to bring women into this department, they have created reservation in various ranks. For example, constables, there is reservation for women to enter the service. And even in SI post there is reservation. Even in DSP, which the State Public Service Commission conducts, there is reservation. But in IPS there is no reservation, and in a way this should not be ignored, because we compete in general and become officers, and any kind of stereotypes affecting women, I think, is a very unfair concept. My first posting as Superintendent of Police was Dharwad district, and it is actually rural Dharwad, and I went from Bangalore, travelled from Bangalore by train in the night, reached early morning there, and then I went to a police station by surprise, to Dharwad Rural Police Station, in the same salwar kameez, and I was very young, so, and I just wanted to know how they will react, to a victim. So I went there to the police station. I said, look, my purse is lost. I was traveling, and after I reached, it has been lost from so and so place. I gave some detail, and then I wanted to see whether they'll be sympathetic. First of all, whether they'll allow me to whether to go inside the police station, and whether whether the officer will meet me, and so on. And it was around 8 o'clock in the morning, and they were quite okay. It's not that they did not leave me inside, or it's not that they didn't hear me out. They did. And so that's how I began my first independent posting. And then one major incident that time was that Hubli court had issued non-bailable warrant against the then sitting Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh. And that was related to a very old case, but because the person had not attended the court, NBW was issued. That's non-bailable warrant, and that means NBW to be executed, means to arrest the person. So I had to go, and that was the easiest of the tasks that I did till today, because that had the backing of a court order, and that was nothing political or anything, and it was as per rules and as per the court order, and that was the easiest task that way. But it was later the other challenges where where the rules are there, but your predecessors have not done it, have not addressed it, and you take upon that, and you ruffle the feathers. That is where those things are the ones that are most challenging. And many a time we come with a lot of idealism. Even in academy, we have a lot of idealism, principles. But I don't know where these principles or ideals, where do they vanish after 1 or 2 years in service? I really do not know. I think we have to be constantly reminded of our principles to remain truthful to what we are and why we came here, first of all. So I would urge young officers to work upon yourself, give a thought to it every day at the end of the day, and remember Gandhiji's talisman, whether whatever you have done, is it helpful in wiping the tears of the last man on earth. So what happened was, in one of the districts, Gadag district, where I was working, one day I get a call that 2-3 buses have been burned down, government buses, and stones pelted, and there is a law and order situation in a place called Nargund. It's a taluka headquarter. The district headquarters is Gadag, the taluka headquarter is Nargund, and it takes 1 hour for me to reach there. I reach, and then I see that policemen have arrested the actual people who pelted the stones. I see them, they're all youth, and they are youth of about 20 to 25 years age. And then why have they pelted stones? At whose behest? What was the motive? Did they do it for themselves? What prompted them to do? I asked these questions to policemen, and even to the local officer there. They were silent on that. The silence is understood, because what had happened was I had the videographic evidence. Just next to the police station, a political leader, had addressed his followers, and that was election time, so there was code of conduct in place. So he had spoken in his speech that let us draw the attention of our high command. If they don't give me ticket, let us show them our power. And then he had also mentioned that our power will be shown to the high command if we burn few buses. So these were clearly recorded. In spite of it, the leader was left. Why? Now, just because he's powerful, is that the reason why he was left? And when I asked my policemen, why have you not brought him to books? They were silent, and they said, no, how is that possible? How is this possible? I was still young. I was just 27. I think I was about 30 years of age. So they thought this young woman, doesn't know anything. This is not how the world works. This is not how the system is, and so on. Maybe the system doesn't work that way, but that is why I'm there. Why we young people are recruited, with such a merit, with such a competitive exam. That is to bring in fresh blood. That is to bring in fairness, not to go along with the system, to bring in that fresh change which is required. So I said, nothing doing. You get that man. He has to be arrested because he is responsible for the incident, and it is public buses, which is government money, which is taxpayers' money. If the government buses are burned, it's taxpayers' money. Who is responsible? So they kept on lying to me. Actually, they said, no, the leader has gone off to Bangalore. We can't find him. This, that. I kept on sitting in the station. I said, nothing doing. You bring him. So it so happened. रात का 9 बजे हो गया. Then it became 9:30 in the night, 10. So even when I didn't budge, even at 10 o'clock in the night, then the DSP there, the second in command, tells me, "Ki madam, I have spoken to him. He's there. He's just in his guest house. I'll just go and bring him. You just talk to him and leave him." So why should I answer this man? I said, first you bring him. Then he brought. And the man came and sat next to me, opposite to me in the station. So I said, look, mister, whoever you are, in this case, you have incited and you are an accused. So I can't be sitting along with you here, I said. And I told my officers to do the arrest procedure. They were all shocked. What is this? So, because, when I said, they were not listening to me. So I had to, keep it a suspense and get him arrested. And next day was Saturday, Sunday, and so he was taken to the judge's house at the night, given remand, and then he was remanded, and then he got bail, and then he came out. So this is what happened. So sometimes you'll have to use your all these kind of tricks, to outnumber or outwit your people, your own people who wouldn't listen to you. That was the first time I felt, my force is not listening to me. And then there was, and then this DSP, the second in command, had also the audacity to tell me later, well, if I had known that you will arrest him, I would have never brought him. So the same words I recorded, I sent as a report to the government as well as the election commission, because those days the code of conduct was in place, election was coming. So you should know, when you are working under during election time under code of conduct, you report to the election commission. That much knowledge, firm knowledge, clear knowledge I had. So I wrote to election commission to take action against him, and then they suspended him, and the man was under suspension for about 1.5 years. So this is how certain things happen in the field. So this man, this political leader who was arrested, had been an ex-minister. He was very powerful in that area. So what I felt, had my predecessors done this kind of job and arrested the real people who get done these danga fasad, then I wouldn't have to face so much problem at that time. Because as per law, abatement, that is inspiring someone or motivating someone to take up some crime, not inspire, motivating someone to do a crime, instigating them, not inspiring, instigating them is a crime under Indian Penal Code. Then why action is never taken on heavyweight political leaders? So that is a flaw in the system, the flaw of officers. Rather than going after small hooligans who do it for money at the behest of these political leaders, we have to arrest the source. That is one. Then there was another incident wherein I was posted as Deputy Commissioner of City Armed Reserve in Bengaluru City, and so as City Armed Reserve, I had a few hundred men under me who were to be used as a reserve force. When there is some peace and order, law and order problem, you send them as a striking force. Apart from that, from my unit, a lot of men were given as gunmen to various politicians, the honorable MLAs, MLCs, ministers, and so on. What I found, I made a list because that was my job. So I made a list of who has taken gunmen. I found to my surprise that even those who were not entitled also had kept gunmen, not one, but two, three, etc. So I made a list of those people. Secondly, I also made a list of those who, let us say, were supposed to be given one gunman, but were given two, but that person would have kept two or three. So I made a list of all excess gunmen kept by the authorized persons, and also gunmen kept by unauthorizedly also. Made a list that was about 218 gunmen from about 85 politicians, and I withdrew them. And that was like, at that time, yes, my boss was kind enough. Actually, the boss changed at that time. When I actually did this withdrawing, the boss then had scolded me in a meeting, and I had kind of wept also. But then I stuck to my action, and the boss changeover happened immediately because there was some for whatever reason. So it was expected or something. So then the new boss who came supported me great deal. So this is how you can, as senior officers, you can motivate, you can support the junior officers and your colleagues. So we should always keep this in mind. The interests of the society, of the common man should be our goal, and whoever is doing good job, I think we all should come in support of such colleagues, whether it's a junior colleague or senior colleague. So finally, my boss, the second boss who came that time, he said, whoever pressurized him, whoever politician rang up and said, "What is this madam doing? She's withdrawing all our gunmen." So the first boss took the anger on me, kind of scolded me openly, insulted me in public, even while I did a good job. While he should have patted me, he didn't do that. But the second boss who came, he would say to the politicians, "Well, that is her area, that is her jurisdiction. She's doing a good job. And you ask her only." So this much leverage he gave me, a very good boss, I'm grateful for such bosses also in my career, under whom I worked. And then at the same time, I also withdrew about 8 SUV vehicles kept by an ex-CM. The CM had just then stepped down, and new CM had come, but the ex-CM had still kept those 8 brand new vehicles of the department. Nobody had bothered to even ask, can we withdraw? Why? I really don't know what our officers keep doing sometimes. Why? I don't know why. I have a habit of putting my hands into so-called dirty jobs which others don't do, but then I wonder, why have others not done it? Otherwise it would be easy for me. And what I've done is not a big thing, not a great thing, but just because others don't do it and I do it, I feel that I'm taking all the risk because the whole attention is on me. I become the culprit. I become the enemy of these people who matter. But fine for me, because that is also because I do not worry about the transfers, because these political heavyweights or the leaders are the ones who will form the government. They will occupy, they become the political executive. They are the ones to transfer you. So that risk is always there of transfers. But if you've done a good job and if you're satisfied and as per rules, you don't have to worry, because any punitive action they take on you, you can always fight out if you are not in the wrong place, if you have not done anything wrong. And transfers, I don't see as punishment. I feel, we should all be prepared to go wherever the government posts, because because some people do get very comfortable with any job. They build their own nest, their comfort zone, and they crib a lot coming out of that comfort zone. I don't build any comfort zone anywhere. I'm always ready with bags packed, and I say thank you, goodbye if you transfer me. And I feel any post has lot of opportunities to do your best. and see, they posted me as DIG prisons. Now that post was vacant for 2 years. That means it was not of any consequence. I became DIG, they had to post me somewhere, so they posted me. So that was the thing. But there also, I did work to my heart's content, to my satisfaction as per rules, and more so in favor of justice. Now, what had happened was that some VIPs were given preferential treatment, VIP treatment, which they're not supposed to get, because all are equal in the eyes of law. At least jails should be levelers. That is why people are sent to jail, to keep you away from all your comforts which you enjoy at home, to keep you away from your relatives, near dear ones. You spend time in alone so that you reflect upon yourself, and you overcome all your negative qualities, and you ponder and you overcome your criminal tendencies. That is the reason why you are put in jail. But there also, if the same treatment, Aisha Ram ka treatment continues, then what is the necessity of jails? So I found out that there are irregularities, whole lot of things. Even drugs were there, even the mobile phones were used, and many other things I reported. Now, as DIG, I am empowered I should be rather, to take action on such people. So when I found out, I wanted to take action. I wanted to suspend, take disciplinary procedure, put disciplinary inquiry on them and take action. But unfortunately, what happened was, the boss there, the DG prisons, said, you don't have any powers to take action on any of these people, because your post creation order does not mention about your powers. Now, that was such a hodgepodge government order that was passed to create one post. They didn't even mention what are my powers. Anyway, the fact that that post remained vacant for 2 years shows that it was not of any consequence to them. And here I had come and started ruffling feathers, and then I gave report, and that became very big. Many national channels picked it up, so there was heavy pressure on the government. They should have transferred I had written in the report to the government that these things are happening and please take action. I had even addressed it to the DG prisons, and instead of transferring just that person who had seen it all or known it all, the government also thought wise in its own wisdom to transfer me out. I had a recourse. I had just been for a month in that post, so I could have gone to Central Administrative Tribunal questioning the order of the government. But I decided not to, because I felt, what is my vested interest in continuing in a particular post? You post me here or there, I'll go wherever you post me. I'll do the same job. This may have been an inconsequential one, but still I brought to the light what is happening in prisons. I at least drew attention. Now I feel things like these, irregularities, corruption, etc., they have to be dealt in a transparent manner. Now there were voices criticizing me. Why is she speaking about it? Why can't she simply give the report and keep quiet? Of course, I had given the report and kept quiet only. It was just that the national channels had reported on my report, and when they asked me for my opinion, I said yes, whatever I have reported is true. Now I feel things like this have to be dealt with in a transparent manner. It has to be known in the public domain what is happening, because then there will be pressure to rectify the system. There will also be pressure to punish the wrongdoers. If there is no tam-tam about such things, if you keep hush-hush of something which is going on, corrupt action or irregularity, who will take action? Nobody will take. So who will suffer? The society will suffer. The system will suffer. So this has been my view, and that is why wherever there is an issue of corruption or irregularity, I choose to speak out at my own risk. Of course, there are conduct rules which guide our behavior, but conduct rules which have been amended recently 5-6 years ago also say that matters of corruption have to be dealt with in a very transparent manner. And in the best interest, bona fide interest, I speak out on certain things, and probably that is also a reason why I am hated by colleagues. So you have to know, when you become an officer, if you ruffle the feathers, if you are a whistleblower, the system will try to get you out of the system as early as possible, and then you will be made an odd man out. You will be made a kind of untouchable, and you will suffer. You will not get any perks. No minister would like to take you under his in his department, or no senior would like to take. But these are risks. But you don't have to worry, because if you really think that you just go along with the system, which has so many loopholes, then who will correct? It is for us who occupy these positions to correct. Nobody outside the system will come and correct these loopholes or the irregularities. Whoever has chaired that position, donned those posts, they only have to take the rectification steps. So you are the one who will be responsible for anything happening on the news if you are an officer. And you can't say, oh, let them do it. If the order comes from above, I'll do it. No, it is your primary duty, whether there is pressure or not, whether there is order or not. The rules are always there. The acts are there. Legislation is there. So you take up action. And I think that's how you do justice to this job for which you come. And then, so after this, in the jail case, I was transferred, and then, however, the government, which should have believed my report, did not believe my report. They constituted another committee headed by ex-IAS officer, and that committee went again into the allegations. It was not allegations, the report that I had made. So they found it to be totally true, and after that, they recommended certain actions, and also they recommended that the corruption angle be investigated by the Anti-Corruption Bureau, and the investigation is still on. And in between, I have also tried, because it is my report, I have tried to the extent I was interested that it is taken to logical end, because when you have started something, you should also see, otherwise who will take care of it? So I was interested to see that it ends in a logical manner, and I had asked several times under the most powerful tool, the Right to Information Act. Now it may surprise you, I'm an officer, I gave a report on that. What action the government has decided, I wanted to know. So I asked under RTI, otherwise how will I know? Many people ask me, you are an officer, how are you asking under RTI? I am also equal, like a common man, if you see the situation, equal to a common man. So I asked under RTI, 2-3 times they rejected. They said, we cannot give you now. Investigation is still going on, inquiry is going on, ask here, go apply there, this and that. Finally, after many such, I also appealed. There also it was rejected. Then I went to approach the Information Commission, and they gave me justice. They made the government give me the report, and after I took the report, there were many other RTI activists also who took that report. And then when it came in public domain, the government was left with no option but to say, okay, now let the case be registered under ACB. That is how the case was registered, and it is being investigated even after 4-5 years. I think this delay is really a bane. Even after me giving a report and government accepting it, still the investigation has not been completed. So you can understand the system, but these are the things which you will encounter when you are an officer. You should be prepared for it. It's not all hunky-dory. Of course, we all come with, starry-eyed. Generally in the field, when we just see, as when we are small children or teenagers, when we see IAS, IPS officers, whether in media or in person, we are attracted by the glory of the post, the uniform, the stars, the people around, the gunmen, and how all the public will be flocking around them. They go and cut the tape, inaugurate. This is what we are attracted to. Oh, what a position, and so on. Earlier there used to be even red light for the vehicles. Now it's not there, of course. So these were attraction points. Yes, of course, they will attract you. But that is not all. That is not all about this service. This service has a greater meaning to help the poor, to help the needy. and we should not make victims of the victims further. If somebody comes to police station, the first thing I still hear, even now, even after so many sensitization training to my officers, we still keep hearing this, that we are not, sometimes the public says, I was not allowed to even meet the inspector. There are so many levels of obstacle, like there is a sentry first, the sentry, the guard, and then the writer, and so on, somebody who will obstruct you, who will not even allow you to meet the inspector. I don't know why. We are there to listen to their problems. Unless and until we listen, we meet them and listen, how will we know what is happening? Now, if you don't want to do anything, naturally you'll close your ears and eyes and you'll not meet them. But if you're really interested in knowing what is happening and taking corrective steps, you must listen to them, meet them, be people friendly, talk to them well, not further ask them questions which will embarrass them further, especially the women. So these are the things which bureaucracy has to still go a long way. And many a time, as I said earlier, we come thinking of the luxuries that this service will offer. But along with that, we should realize that we all live in glass house. Once you come to this kind of a service, it's like living in a glass house. Everybody will know. People around you are in your equal status. Your colleagues will know you. Your seniors, your juniors. Everybody will know you. So you have to be aware of that fact, and you have to be, in a way, I feel being transparent is the best way instead of hiding. Sometimes I feel, of course, there are many honest officers. It's not that they're not there, but they are somehow scared of being made a victim. They don't take these risks because they know some transfer will happen, or maybe some notice will come, some memo will be given. You'll fall out of the good books of the powerful people, and so on. Whatever the reason be, I feel we should speak out. We should take action when we are the ones who are entitled to do, and only then we can rectify the system. I had very recently also, when I studied the file of the Nirbhaya Safe City project, I found a lot of irregularities leading to, which could have been a source of misappropriation, the way the tender was done and so on. On this also I gave a report based on which that tender itself was cancelled, and a new tender was called. Of course, that led to my transfer, again shifting, but I don't mind it. And the people who actually drafted this tender in a shoddy manner so as to favor some people, those officers were also transferred, but I feel they should have been punished, because unless there is punishment, transfer is not a punishment, as I view, and other, as per rules also. So mere transfers for people who do these wrong things is not an answer. Many a time we find that the government just transfers when there is some hue and cry about some irregularity by any officer. They'll just transfer that officer. No, but that is not the thing to do. There should be pressure from even the public or the NGOs and so on, because unless or even the media, because unless these things are such people are punished, transfer, you're transferring me also, who exposes, and you're transferring the officer who has done the wrong thing also. You're treating both of them on an equal scale. So I think the whole system has to change, and for a larger change, it's first of all the officers have to act, and along with that, there should be wider support of the public, which luckily has been there for me all the time. But if that is focused, the governments can be made to act and take rectification steps. So we all may think, why I should do this? It's not my job. Why should I go? Or why should I ask? Even for their own things, people are not ready to go to offices and ask them, why you're not doing my job. I often tell, if you go to an office, government office, if they don't do your job, whether Tehsildar office or a police station and so on, you go and, of course, it will be a little trouble, but you have to go and ask them, and if they don't give proper answer, you should go to their higher ups. It will take some energy and time, but we are still in this at this level, so all of us have to put in efforts, and when the whole society is focused towards becoming a zero corrupt society, only then things can change. And if you aim at zero corruption, there will be still some corruption. If you say, well, sab kuch chalta hai, just I will pay, but my job is to be done. No, that's not an answer. Why do you even want to pay? Don't encourage this culture. This is what I say. And finally, we all, as a society, we have to take up this issue. And how bureaucracy is shaping up today, there have been many changes, and I feel in the present government, in the present days, a lot of emphasis is given on digitization, which is a very good thing, because when there is no human interface, there will be transparent way, corruption also will be done away. If you meet that person, officer, only he'll tell, nah, you give me money, till then I'll hold your file and such things, he'll demand. So there's no interface, how will he know whose file it is and where you're sitting? So he will not ask. So time limit is given, within that he has to dispose the file. So I think removing human interface is the best thing to bring about transparency and corruption-free system in this country, and it is being done. And let us all take it forward. And I hope all the youngsters also come and live with the same spirit for which they joined this service. Thank you.